Hi. So in the previous video we had seen about yield curves and what are the different shapes of yield curve. Now we must understand what to analyze from these yield curves, what each of this yield curve is telling us. When was this yield curve seen and what happened in the economy after a particular yield curve was there. So let us go step by step, date by date. The first one we have got is June 2008. So June 2008 is a flat yield curve. Now when there is a flat yield curve, look at it from you the investor point of view. Whether you invest for short term or whether you invest for the long term, in both cases you are going to get the same yield on your investment. So in that case a person will say, why should I invest for the long term and sacrifice my liquidity also? There are various theories, liquidity preference theory, preferred habitat theory. You may read that in detail, that's the theoretical part. But at the implementation practical level, if you have got 100 rupees and you are getting annualized 8% in half a year, why would you invest in a 20-year paper to get the same 8%? So therefore, when the yield curve is flat, lenders typically would like to concentrate their money at the shorter end of the yield curve. What happens in the economy because of that? Look at corporates. If I am a corporate and I want to set up a factory, the factory will be a 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year type of a project. So there will be setting up, I will have to get all the permissions, then I will have to start construction, then there will be gestation period, then the production will start, and then the factory will start getting into operational profit, and finally net profit. So it's a long term process as far as me the corporate is concerned. I am taking a loan for a 20-year period, whereas you are ready to invest for a half-year period. So therefore, when the yield curve is flat, generally economic activity slows down. Why does the economic activity slow down? Because as a borrower, the lenders are, I don't find those many lenders. Look at it from the bank also point of view. Between me the borrower and between you the lender, there is a bank. Now how does the bank make money? Bank borrows cheap and lends dear. What it means is, what is the income for the bank? Bank income is the net interest income, NII what they say. So bank will give, so that's why bank loves CASA. Why? Because current accounts, saving accounts have got practically 0% or very less interest. So they take money at 0% and they lend at, let's say, 8, 9, 10%. So that's a big margin for them. And then the CRR and SLR, all those things we have seen, a priority sector lending, we have seen all that. But broadly, this is what it is, that they borrow cheap and they lend dear. And that interest rate difference is the earning. Now here, if the bank borrows at 8% and lends at 8%, what is the bank earning? So bank is getting nothing over here. So therefore, whether it is from the investor point of view, whether it is from the bank point of view, economic activity generally starts slowing down when the yield curve is flat. So this is a sort of a stagnation type of a period. When the economy is not doing well, how do you expect the equity markets to do well? Because share prices are slaves of earnings. Earnings will move if sales will happen. If sales are not going to happen, if new plants are not being set up, if people are not, even for a retail borrower, see, if a company is not growing, if the inventory starts piling up, then there may be job losses. And if there are job losses, then people won't be going out and spending. So even the consumption part will be taking a hit. So a flat yield curve generally is not a very gung-ho or a bullish type of a signal. So what happened in 2008 was, in June 2008, we had a flat yield curve, and from June to July 2008, the yellow line went up and it became the pink line. So in just a period of 1 month, the yield curve had increased and it became, so I mean the interest rates had gone up and it had also become inverted. Now again we must understand two things when we are talking about yield curves. A, the level of the yield curve, and B, the shape of the yield curve. So here the yield curve has moved up. It typically, see, nobody likes higher interest. If you have to borrow, if you have to take a housing loan, you would probably prefer 8% rather than 9%, or 7% rather than 8%, or 6% rather than 7%. So the lower the interest rate, lower the cost of borrowing for you as a retail borrower or a corporate borrower, you will like it. Now, if the interest rate, if the cost of borrowing itself is, let's say, 9% or 10%, or it's gone up more than 10% over there. So if the cost of borrowing is 10% or 11% or whatever, just imagine how much will be the cost of the product which the company comes out with. So to sell that, the company will have to sell at a far higher price, and people may not buy at such higher prices. So because of that, the economic activity tends to slow down. So borrowing slows down, consumption slows down, and therefore an inverted yield curve and such a high yield curve is typically a harbinger of recession. Now, also let us remind ourselves that when we spoke about bonds, we said that when interest rates are high, that is the time to invest in bonds. So this is July 2008. In July 2008, our interest rates were right up there. Now remember the equity market scenario. The equity market was crashing in all of 2008, from Jan to Feb to June. It came down all the way to 8,000 Sensex in October 2008. So 2008 was a bloodbath year for the equity markets, but 2008 was one of the best years for the bond markets. And why it was? Because in July 2008, your yield curve was like this, and by the time January 2009 came, your yield curve was here. So let us understand that July, August, September, October, November, December, so 6 months of the second half of 2008, while the equity market crashed all the way to 8,000 Sensex, your yields also crashed. And when yields come down, it means bond markets go up or bond prices go up. So in this particular time frame, your yield curve, which was high and sort of inverted, crashed, and it came down and it became normal. Now a normal yield curve, let us also see here, if we see the 10-year G-Sec yield during that time, so we have got the 10-year G-Sec yield over here on investing, let's say max time frame. So now we have got from, so if we look at this part, so 2008, here we can see that here in, this is 17/2008. So in 2008, the yields were at 9.3%, and there is this steep fall in yield in a very small period of time. So this is Jan 2009. And in Jan 2009, the yields have come down to 6.1. Let's pay attention. The yield is at 5.2, not even 6.1. This is at 5.2 in, let's say, late 2008 or early 2009. And it was at 9.3. So from 9.3, yields have come down 4%. So 9, 8, 7, 6 and 5%. So they have come down that much in a short span of time. This was also the time when, now if we again go back to our first session of interest rates, this is this period which we had seen. So here the yield, so here the CRR was at 9% in August 2008, and by the time it was April 2009, the CRR had come down to 4.75. So this is that part when the RBI suddenly infused liquidity into the banking system by cutting CRR, by cutting repo. All of that translated into the yields also crashing down during the same time, and because of this, bond prices had shot up. So while everybody was crying about equity markets bleeding during this period of time, bond investors were making a lot of money because of this inverse relation and knowledge of yield curves. So yield curves, because in June 2008 itself, and even before that, but because our chart is restricted to June 2008 itself, it was very clear that the yield curve is flat. And because the yield curve is flat and high at 8%, so if your yield curve is flat, your yield curve is high, obviously the economy was not really roaring. So you had got an indication from the yield curve pretty much in advance that going forward, really the economy is not going to grow at a very rapid clip. If the economy is not going to grow, how do you expect company sales to increase? Because GDP, ultimately company sales has to increase. If company sales are not increasing, profits are not going to increase. If all of that is not, I mean, it could be seen very clearly and even before this. So therefore, if we look at the correct indicators, we can get a sort of a leading idea of what may likely happen, which should be our asset class. Here, when the yields are so high, and when the equity market had gone from 3000 Sensex to 21,000 Sensex, and it had still come down to maybe 16 or 18,000, I don't know the exact level, but still you had made 5-6 times more money here, even after the small crash of Jan, Feb, March. Looking at the yield curve, it was very clear that the economy is not going to go anywhere. Interest rates are headed higher. We should take our money out of equities, book the profits, and shift all of that into long-term bonds. Because we have seen in the bond market video that long-term bonds are more sensitive to interest rates than short-term bonds. So when interest rates are at their highest, it is bad for equity because the cost of borrowing goes up, so companies profitability gets a hit. It's bad for equities because consumption takes a hit, because nobody is going to borrow for housing loan or car loan at higher interest rates. So high interest rates and a flat yield curve are a almost clear indication that say no to equities. And at the same time, when the yields are so high, it also means that bonds are attractive now. So take your money out of equities and take that profits and sit in bonds. What happened? Had you done that, entire second half of 2008, while the equity markets crashed, the bond prices, because the yields came down, the bonds prices shot up, and you would have made a lot of money by being in the right asset class. So therefore, this is how we look at yield curves and try to take investment decision. Now also what happens is, sadly investors make this mistake that by the time 2008 was over and by the time 2009 started, equity markets had pained investors big time. So people just didn't want to be in equities, they were sitting on huge losses, and also at that time the bond markets had given stellar returns, and therefore you and me, the investor, we made the classical mistake. We exited from equities in 2008 at losses and entered into bonds at the highest price because of historical reasons. Because we don't understand these yield curve things, we made a very big mistake. And many times the intermediaries oblique advisors, they also end up telling us to invest in bonds when the rally has happened. That is the case today also. So because yields are very low, when the yields have come down to this level, how can we expect bond prices to go higher from here? Yields are not going to crash to these levels, and we don't want also. So if yields are not going to come down, how can bond prices go up? And then why should you and me invest in bonds after that rally? Now also understand, by the time 2008 ended and 2009 dawned, the shape of the yield curve was this. This is known as a normal yield curve. Banks borrow cheap and lend dear. This is what it was happening. Banks were borrowing at 0.5% and banks were giving loan happily at 8%. So banks were borrowing for the short term and banks were giving for the banks were making interest interest income was there for the banks. Corporate borrowers were borrowing. Economy started chugging along at a steady pace. So slowly corporates were increasing their sales. So because of that, profits were increasing. And because of that, companies, so we had the best possible situation after the crash, because equity markets had crashed way below their intrinsic values or fundamentals, and equities, I mean the economy had started doing better. So what should have happened is, this was the time to be into equities, but we, the retail investor, we came out of equities because of frustration, fear, and we entered bonds because of greed. So our investment decisions were not based on logic, they were based on emotions. Only thing we needed to know was just how the basic interest rate relations work. So when yield curve is normal, oblique steep, when the yield curve is normal, oblique steep, and it is low, that is the time we should be going for equities. As yield curve rises, typically its shape also becomes flat. When the yield curve is at its highest, you take out money from the equities, shift to long term bonds. The equity markets will fall because high interest rates is going to affect the economy. The yields will fall because because inflation comes under control and government tries to pump prime the economy. As the yields crash, you make a lot of money by investing in long term paper. When the yields have come down, bonds have made a lot of profit, take money out of bonds, again go back into equities when the yields are at their lowest, because then the economy starts chugging along. So it's a cycle. If we know the interest rate cycle, and it's very simple and it's common sense and it's basic, if we are just able to pay attention to what is happening, we can save ourselves from a lot of pain, and we don't need to really be dependent on some expert coming on TV or advisors or something like that. This is all is available for free on the internet. So that's how we should be taking our investment decisions. The next videos, we will be further focusing upon bond funds, or how to make use of this information, this analysis, and actually implement all of that. So thank you very much for watching.